Hi, my name's Alexis Rock, and I'm going to be going over Diane Blake's involvement in the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal for Professor Tchaikovsky's business ethics class. So, a little background on Diane Blake. Who is she? Well, she's a little less well known than some of the other parents involved in the scandal, but I was still able to find quite a bit of information on her. So, Diane Blake in her professional life, I got really lucky. I was able to find an article that her alma mater published of her to get a lot of information regarding her professional and even a little bit about her personal life. So, everything on this slide came from that article, which I included a link to at the bottom of the slide and at the end of the presentation. But to start off, so she did attend college. She was at Providence College in Rhode Island and is in the graduating class of 86. The article doesn't specifically say what she graduated with, but it was published by the School of Business and Advisory Council, so I'm assuming she graduated with some kind of business degree, perhaps marketing, based on her career track. So, starting in the 1990s, according to the article, she was the director of retail marketing and merchandising for Levi Strauss and Company. Throughout her career, a lot of other sources and the article state that she's worked with a lot of Fortune 500 companies and a lot of big names like Levi's, Dockers, Reebok. So that's kind of been a part of her entire career. But specifically later on, she founded the marketing firm Blake Marketing Incorporated, and um, later on, and is supposedly currently working at Winston Retail Solutions, which she is a co founder of, and is also known for having a lot of big name clients like Nike and Lucky Brand. The photo that I included of her was from her LinkedIn page. I was fortunate enough to find this from another website, but her LinkedIn has been since taken down, probably because of everything that's going on. Now, on to Diane Blake's personal life. She is the wife of Todd Blake, another person indicted in the college admissions scandal. They're actually noted in the FBI documents as the Blakes as a couple. The couple is known for being involved with the Ross Business and Social Circles, which is the School of Business for Michigan University, and her husband graduated from there. She's a mother. She has two children and at least one daughter, Charlotte, who is the daughter that um, Diane and her husband tried to bribe into USC. The family lives in San Francisco, California, specifically the Bay Area, which is a very affluent, elite neighborhood to put out there. And the photo that I included of Diane here is the only other photo I was able to find of her. So, because she's not as well known, maybe, or because she keeps her personal life a little more private, I wasn't able to find a lot about her upbringing or who she was raised to be or any of her ethics or morals that she might have got from her experiences in life that led to her decisions to participate in the fraud and money laundering that took place. But I'll explain a little bit more about a few theories that I have later in the presentation. So I found this quote that I thought was interesting that was posted by the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Andrew Lelling, and he said the kinds of moms and dads that were involved in this scandal were dads and moms that are a catalog of wealth and privilege. So I thought this was interesting because he's basically saying that the people that were involved in the college admissions scandal were people who had a lot of money, obviously felt very privileged, a part of the elite upper class, and probably felt a lot of pressure to maintain the pedigree of Ivy League schools and such, and which is why they felt they had to pay so much to make sure their kids got in there. Because I couldn't find a lot about where Diane Blake grew up or who her parents are or if she attended religious schools or had any sort of upbringing that would instill a particular set of morals, I have some assumptions as to why she might have felt she was able to cheat the system or some motives that she might have had to take part in the scandal in the first place. So, first off, the college system has become really elite. It's all about the name of the school that you attended for a lot of people. You know, USC, people paid $500,000 to get in there. And Yale, Harvard, people see those names and they think upper class, they think higher education, they think the smartest of the smartest people. So she probably felt pressured to maintain that and help her daughter achieve that by whatever means necessary. Next, she has the means and the money. Obviously, she's had a lot of high-paying jobs. Her husband is an entrepreneur, successful as well. So they had the means, the opportunity, and the money. So made everything a lot easier just to go ahead and pay whoever they needed to help their daughter get what she wanted. Another interesting aspect of the college admission scandal that I thought was relevant, I got from an article in MarketWatch, which I included a link to at the bottom of this slide and at the end of the presentation. But it talked about how much uncertainty there is in the admissions requirements these days. It's really hard to gauge what got one student into the school versus another. People with identical qualifications don't both get chosen most of the time. It's hard to tell exactly what gets you in the door. And I assume that when Diane and her husband saw they could just pay their way and make sure their daughter had a spot guaranteed that she would get in, it made them feel a lot more confident and comfortable because it took away that uncertainty. Regarding the incident itself, approximately 51 individuals were charged with bribing and scheming to get into these colleges with their involvement, and $25 million in bribes were paid to get these high school students into college. Specifically, Diane and her husband paid $200,000 to the Key Worldwide Foundation, and the Key Worldwide Foundation is the charity that was used. It's not a real charity, it was a shell charity that was used to funnel money to the people that were getting these kids into the colleges. And I'll discuss that a little bit later in the presentation. The Blakes also paid $50,000 to the University of Southern California, USC, Women's Athletic Department because they misrepresented their daughter's athletic background and said that she was a national champion in volleyball. So this slide is talking specifically about Diane's involvement. Her husband does come up a few times because they're a couple and they did both act together to get their daughter into USC, but I tried to keep it specifically to Diane's actions. I hope this timeline is easy to follow, but Diane was the one who contacted Cooperating Witness 1, who is the person who facilitated the money transfers to get the students into the colleges that they wanted. But she emailed the witness and her husband saying that her daughter wanted to get into USC, but Diane felt that it was a reach school and she wouldn't be able to get in with her current academic and scholastic standing. So after that, Diane, I guess, had some communication with the witness and they set something up, and she confirmed on February 28th, 2017, that she and her husband are fully committed to the USC plan and are willing to provide anything else that is needed. So this is her confirming that they are going to be fully cooperative in paying whatever is necessary, providing whatever documents, false or true, that is needed to get their daughter into USC. And the witness responded that they're going to need the unofficial transcripts of their daughter Charlotte and a PDF of her best test scores. The next set of emails that I thought were worth noting was between Diane Blake, cooperating witness 1, and another character in the college admission scandal, Laura Jenke, and she was the women's soccer coach at USC. She's been fired because of her involvement in the scandal, but she's relevant because she is the one who helped create Charlotte Blake's fake volleyball profile. And they even included some honors that she had supposedly received. They said that she'd been a part of club teams and even made it to the national championships, which is all completely fake. Next up, in September, Todd Blake mailed a $50,000 check to the women's athletic department at USC, and then on January 26, 2018, the Blakes received an invoice from Cooperating Witness 1 for $200,000 payable to the World Key Foundation, which is the fake charity I mentioned earlier that all of the bribery and payments for getting kids into schools was funneled through. And then on May 22nd, 2018, Charlotte Blake is officially a Trojan and admitted into USC on false pretenses, but she did not know that at the time. And all this information that I provided on this slide came directly from the FBI transcript report, and I have included a link to that PDF at the end of this presentation. So how Diane and her husband were caught for their involvement in the scandal is a little interesting. A little background on how the whole scandal sort of started to blow up. The IRS did an audit of the charity that was shelling all the money that was being paid to Cooperating Witness 1 through his foundation for his assistance in getting the kids into the schools. And they obviously realized that this is not an actual charity and something was going on here, so they investigated further. And regarding Diane specifically, on February 22nd, 2019, the witness was instructed by the FBI to call Diane and let her know that USC received a subpoena for its athletic records from the past 12 years. And because they had their daughter Charlotte admitted based on an athletic acceptance for a fake volleyball profile, they were going to find that Charlotte was a part of the scandal. And this also came directly from the FBI transcripts on the case, and I included a little snapshot of a conversation between Diane and the witness. And something that was really interesting to me was Diane's second statement. She said, "Yikes, right? I mean, our daughter doesn't even know, you know?" So Charlotte didn't even know what her parents did to get her into the school in the first place. The charges the Blakes are facing formally are conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud and honest services mail and wire fraud. Again, all this information to commit money laundering from court documents. And the maximum sentence for this charge is 20 years. So they are facing document I used, and I also linked the PDF at jail time if they are convicted. On April 29th, 2019, Diane Blake entered a plea of not guilty. So what will become of Diane Blake and her family? This is an interesting prediction because, you know, it's kind of hard to tell. The case is early. It hasn't even been heard yet, so we don't know what defenses are being put up or anything. But based on the information that I've seen so far, and because she pled not guilty, that tells me that she doesn't feel like she did anything wrong. She thinks that she's not guilty of the crime she's being charged with. Maybe it's her privilege or elite class belief. Maybe she thinks because she was making donations it doesn't count or something, but her not guilty plea is pretty telling that she doesn't feel like she deserves this, or she doesn't think that bribing your child's way into college is elitist or unfair or untransparent in any way. Another interesting aspect of this to consider is that her daughter most likely did not know about the bribe in the first place. So if she has two children, there's another child that's probably going to want to go to college or wanted to go to college maybe, and now she has her other daughter, Charlotte, who thought she was going to college and now isn't, and she didn't get in on her own. Is she going to be able to get into another school? What is she going to do about the rest of her career and the other child's career and education? And regarding Diane Blake's professional life, well, as stated in that article I showed you earlier, she worked with a lot of really big names. She's working with a lot of really big names with her Winston Retail Solutions, Nike, North Face, Lucky Brand. And I seriously doubt any of those companies are going to want to associate their marketing department around a person with so much scandal and such a big crime, because it will reflect badly on the company as well, supporting somebody who's okay with lying and money laundering and committing fraud to get ahead in the world. So this is my works cited page. I took a lot of my information directly from the FBI investigation and its transcripts to try to present this information without any bias or as little bias as possible. I also used the California Northern District's court report that included the charges, and that's the bottom two links that I've included. Another really helpful website for the indictment itself was the Justice.gov, and I did use a couple media outlets that I've included here that you can look through for the information I found. But again, I tried to avoid mainstream media because there's a lot of bias in it and not all the information I was finding to be factually checking out. So I wanted to try to present my information as transparently as possible. And that wraps up my presentation on Diane Blake's involvement in the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found this information helpful.